The US company is claiming the first successful de-extinction, bringing the direwolf back to life after more than 10,000 years. But some experts aren't so sure. So we've got Emily Roycroft here, the head of Evolutionary and Conservation Genomics Research Group at Monash University, to get your assessment on this de-extinction that has apparently happened. Take us through what's been said.
So the company Colossal has announced that they've de-extincted this species of direwolf that's been lost for 12,000 years. But when we look at the detail of what they've actually done, so they've taken the genome of the grey wolf, which is a living species. It's a species that's around 5 million years diverged from the direwolf, and they've made a number of genome edits to the grey wolf. And so those are around 20 different genetic changes that they've induced in the genome of the grey wolf. And one of those, for example, is this striking white coat that we see in these wolf puppies.
So they've made a hybrid, right? Has no one seen Jurassic Park? Like, I just feel like I saw this and I thought, creating hybrid animals just seems like a terrible, terrible idea.
There are definitely some ethical considerations in terms of editing the genome of species, and there's a lot that we don't know about what genetic changes actually do. And so the number of genome edits that they've done in this work are actually quite modest number of changes, so that there might be millions of differences that underlie the difference between direwolves and grey wolves, and in this case we're seeing around 20 of those millions.
So it's not going to escape and start harassing cities and towns wherever they're based?
No, well, genetically these animals are really just grey wolves with a very small number of changes.
Emily, if you're essentially replacing something in an ecosystem that looks the same, smells the same, is roughly the same, is that a good thing?
I guess it depends on what the goal is. And so with these direwolves or modified grey wolves, there are no plans to introduce them into the wild. They're going to spend their lives in captivity. And so there doesn't seem to be a clear route to these animals filling an ecosystem role. The company claims that what they're doing is called functional de-extinction. So they're not actually bringing back the extinct animal, but they're bringing back what we perceive as the key traits that make them, unique. Yeah.
Emily, can you take us through some of the research that we know that's happening in Australia in terms of the Tasmanian tiger? Because that is somewhat advanced, isn't it? Is that a similar process to what researchers are trying to do there in Tassie?
Yeah, so it's the same company that's proposing to do this approach in the Tasmanian tiger. So with the Tasmanian tiger or the thylacine, there is not really a close living relative. So in the case of the direwolf, we've got the grey wolf around 5 million years evolutionarily diverged, but the thylacine is on a branch of the tree of life that's at least 40 million years unique. And so there are a lot more genetic differences that would need to be induced in a relative of the thylacine to get anywhere near this kind of work for our species. Yeah.
They're essentially creating a living museum exhibit though, right? They're not actually ever going to be able to reintroduce a Tasmanian tiger, or at least not with the DNA we currently have, right?
Yeah, so the genome of the Tasmanian tiger is probably not good enough to really ever bring it back fully. The most we could expect to see is a modified Dunnart they're planning on using as the model for this work, that might exhibit some of the traits of a thylacine, but thinking about bringing it back into the ecosystems that now perhaps can't really sustain that species, even if we could bring it back, is another question.
Particularly aggressive Dunnart. There you go.
A big question indeed. Emily, thank you very much. Cue the Jurassic Park music and get your Sam Neill hat on.